We're good to go? Okay, I need a motion to reconvene the regular business portion of the meeting. Judy? And Jeremy, all in favor? Opposed? Next on our agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of meditation.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Public hearing. Members of the Board of Education of the Goshen Central School District will hold a public information session to discuss an increase of the maximum income eligibility limits for the partial exemption from property tax for property owners with disabilities.
Sure. So I'll just give a brief update of what this is. There's an aged and a senior exemption, and the school district has to have a resolution to move this forward, and we are aligning it with the county limits. And these are the maximum limits, and it allows aged and seniors to have this exemption and reduce their taxes. Happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Any questions or comments? I think my comment would be that I think it's about time. I think it's a good idea, and I support that for the community.
Okay, thank you.
Just checking my deadline. Okay, we're good, Maureen? Do we need to close it or? Okay, we'll close the public information session and move on to the regular portion of the meeting. Next on the agenda is the financial update. The Board of Education acknowledges the Treasury report for December 2020. Next on the agenda is the President's report. Tonight's report will focus on the letter shared to the community yesterday. Yesterday, we shared a letter about our plan and goal to reopen our schools. After many hours of meeting with administrators and directors and staff, unions, we put out a plan to have a goal to reopen our schools, which really has been the goal since last March. Obviously, we're going through very difficult times and trying to do this. It's our goal to reopen, and our goal is to do it safely, in collaboration with our administrators, teachers, staff, parents, students. We've heard from many of you about trying to do this. While we do this and plan to do this, we will continue to monitor the conditions in the community and the guidelines by New York State each week and make any modifications necessary. It's also very important to note, because we got much communication of people that are still comfortable with remote learning. We intend to keep remote learning option available to all of those who don't feel like returning to school at this time. As far as a reopening date, Simply, we just don't have one at this time. Our order for the polycarbonate shields are in place. We do not know when it will arrive. Many details will need to be ironed out in the coming weeks as we work with our administrators. We work with our directors, including our transportation, our buildings, cafeteria. I believe we'll all be working hard over the next many weeks to make these possible. I think there's one thing we can all agree upon, the importance of getting our children back into school, and as our number one goal. Many concerns on why people are not going to school, other than the transmission, is the quarantine. There have been updated quarantine guidance and close contact definitions. I believe we'll be sending out those updates here in the coming days. We also will be sending out updates on Wednesdays, as many communications to our Board of Ed emails ask us about Wednesdays. So Wednesday update will be going out as well here pretty soon. Also forthcoming here by the end of the week will be a survey. We'll probably have a two-part survey to begin with. First part for now will be to see if we can increase attendance currently under current guidelines before we reopen full-time. Our attendance in the upper grades 6 through 12 have dropped. We'll see if there's a way to accommodate those who would like to go more. This could be more difficult in grades K through 5, as attendance there has not dropped too much. And under current guidelines of 6 foot, we just simply don't have the space to accommodate more than 12 to 14 people, depending on which class it is. But we will explore it. We will continue as a board to be advocates for our staff to get vaccinated, for those who want to be vaccinated. The board has been working with local lawmakers, expressing the need for that option for our staff. And we're all in this together. We must work together to give free choice for everyone to decide what is best for you. The board is quite cognizant that we must work with our administrators and our unions to make this happen. My final message tonight to my fellow board members. I think we'll all do this to make the district the best we can. Volunteering our time away from our families. Probably more than we all bargained for at this point. But I, as the president of the board, thank you. I feel like we have done a good job so far, and we are trying our best. No, I'm good.
I just want to say, thank you. You've spent a lot of time. Doesn't go unnoticed.
Thank you. Next on our agenda is the legislative update. Martha Boger.
Yes, I have nothing new to report tonight. Okay, nothing new to report tonight. I will be attending the OXPA meeting this Wednesday evening, where Regent Francis Willis will update us on the Regent's current work and initiatives.
Thank you, Martha. Next on the agenda is the superintendent's report. Mr. Connor.
Thank you, President Pucci. Just a few things. First of all, I think the plan going forward and what's happened, taken place in the last week regarding the reopening of schools, I think was well outlined and well stated. I will conclude my reports tonight with just a reminder to the board that right now the 21-22 calendar is before our three main units for their review. There is a little bit of a change in next year's calendar, 21-22, in that the plan is to start the last 2 days in August with staff development and then start school on September 1st. And the reason for that is that everyone really fell in love with this week off in February. And I think it's become so popular with folks around Orange County, around the state even, that the look is to see if we can do that next year. Even though we try and stay as close to BOCE's calendar as we possibly can, because obviously our kids going over there and they provide services. If we're not identical to that, it's not the end of the world. So there is some flexibility there. But this calendar, I think, is a good calendar. And like I just stated, it's always important to try and make sure that we are as close to the OU calendar, which they will adopt, which is the majority of the schools in Orange County. So keeping that in mind, when I think I've got enough feedback from the three groups, well, I'll bring it back to you folks and let you take a look at it. And it should happen sometime maybe in early April. It's a little bit different times here, obviously, with the pandemic, so we're all dealing with a lot of other issues. So I think that's my report. Thank you.
Next on the agenda is the Assistant Superintendent for Business Report, Louise Lynch.
Thank you. So about it this year, and it's not a new program. The STAR program stands for the School Tax Relief Act that was passed a while ago. And a little history on this. There was a time when you just paid your taxes and there was no STAR. And then the state gave schools a little bit more money and the taxpayers had a break. But so there's two different ways you can take advantage of STAR if you're a district resident. And the first way is you can have a credit or a reduction on your tax bill and pay the net of your full school taxes less the New York State credit and just pay the net. And the second way is called the STAR credit. And what that does is you pay your taxes in full and you receive a check from the state of New York. But there's nothing new about what I just described. But what's very interesting this year and is cause for concern is all of a sudden this line is appearing on the school state aid run as a revenue form. And my colleagues, myself, and a lot of people around the state are very concerned that it may be changing and it may, we're not sure about what the outcome is. But so there's this little pamphlet that's put together. I think it's all been shared with you. I'm going to make sure it's on the website. What we want to make sure happens is that our community understands that this is not something that we can control and necessarily control the outcome. So I just want to make sure that people continue to follow this and exercise any rights they may have so it's not negatively impacting schools. And I'm happy to answer any questions about that, but we will get the information on the website if it's not already there. The second item I want to mention is about the Legoland pilot, which we are in the second year of that, and it continues to be a source of revenue for the district, but there are some significant variables there that are beyond our control. And we are in year 2, and this year we are eligible to receive a pilot. Initially, the pilot was supposed to be 5% of the assessed value. Now, the assessed value is on the buildings. Due to COVID, there's been a delay in how much construction has been done. And initially, I reported about a month ago after having significant conversation with the Goshen assessor that this would be about 95% of the initial amount. And now, due to the labor restrictions and some shutdowns over there due to COVID, we're at 70%. Now, it is a negative impact to the amount of revenue we receive as a pilot, but it's another one of these things that is beyond our control. It turns into about $50,000 less in revenue we'll get from them, which means we will get that in taxes. It's not the shift we want to see, but again, we really don't have a lot of control. I just wanted to bring that up. I'm hoping that by next year, 2022, the buildings will be done and will really start to materialize into a little bit more money for the school. I don't know if there are any questions about that. Okay, I welcome in email, any questions I can answer, I'm happy to. And the last item is a piece of very good news. That initial 20% that we were supposed to have withheld, we have been fully restored. So federal funds, food service funds, last year funding, it's trickled in, and it's no longer one of those things that keeps me awake at night. So, some good news. Any questions on any of that?
That's Martha, I think.
Martha? Just got to unmute, Martha.
Sorry about that. I just, I had mentioned to Louise that I did speak with the legislators when I was part of the county delegation to have them take a look at the pilot and see how much we can get in a, you know, what's due us.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Louise.
You're welcome.
Next on the agenda is the Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction Personnel Technology Report.
Thank you, Mr. Pucci. Good evening, everyone. Just a brief report for you regarding state testing. As you may be aware, all federally mandated tests, ELA, math, science, must be given. That includes 3-8 and Regents testing, according to a release through the Biden administration. So again, this would include Regents and our 3-8 testing. However, there are many potential waivers and executive orders that are on the floor. So we will await information from the New York State Education Department, which will help us to plan accordingly to proceed forward. Most recently, we did have many conversations with our building principals, especially at our cabinet meeting with Mr. Connor, to discuss plans to further assist our students as they prepare for such assessments, namely the Regents that may or may not be given. We are assuming that all tests will be given as mandated, so therefore we will prepare. Ms. Martin was a part of that, so I know that that information is also going through the high school, as is such information with Mr. Wentworth and Ms. Carmen and her administrative team. Carrying on with what we've been trying to achieve with Jim Wright, we've had 2 recent meetings, technically Zoom trainings with Jim Wright in an effort to really work with some of our struggling learners in the classroom. So on February 24th, CJ Hooker and Goshen High School had their turn to meet as a faculty and staff with Jim Wright, again, virtually, to discuss strategies to engage at-risk students in classroom instruction. There was a large focus on 5 instructional tools to really help to reach some of our more struggling learners. There were strategies to increase engagement, strategies to increase comprehension skills, writing skills, and so on. When Jim Wright puts on a training, you know, it's usually somewhere between 1.5 to 2.5 hours. It's well attended. And he usually provides a packet of information that's upward to 125 pages to discuss. But most importantly, our teachers, they leave with what we would call a toolkit. You know, they have many things that they can put in place to implement in the classroom. And that's really the most important piece of what we're doing. Additionally, coming up on March 3rd, Scotchtown Avenue and Goshen Intermediate will have another training, this time around regarding data collection, with a focus on collecting classroom data to monitor academic performance and growth, as well as behavior interventions, which is really important. When you put an intervention in place, you want to see that it's successful, and you need to know how to adapt if necessary. It also involves setting realistic goals based on the data that is collected and analyzed. So that is coming up on March 3rd. Again, these are well attended, and we're very thankful to have the opportunity to work with Jim Wright. And that is it for me currently. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Carter. We go back to Superintendent Connor here.
Yes, thanks very much, President Pucci. Just want to let everyone know that, remind them that March 18th, 2021, nominating petitions for the Board of Education will be available. That's March 18th, 2021. Also, I'd be remiss if I didn't speak to about the 9 people that are on tonight's agenda that are retiring. It's a total of 229 years of experience there, ranging anywhere from 17 years to 45 years. I just would like to publicly thank each and every one of them for their outstanding contribution and dedication to the Goshen School District and community. And certainly, I know we've got a ways to go yet, but want to wish them the very best. So a great group of people. I know all of them very, very well. Wish them the best. And they're behind your consent agenda, President Bucci. So just want to visit you.
Thank you. I think the Board of Education would like to echo Superintendent Connor's sentiments on our retirees, and we thank them for their service to our district. That is next on our agenda, the consent agenda. Need a motion? I got Martha and Mike. Be resolved upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools. The Board of Education accepts the retirement of Mary K. Jankowski, school social worker, effective July 1st, 2021. Ms. Jankowski has been with the district for 20 years. Be resolved upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education accepts the retirement of Patricia Cutler, second grade teacher, effective July 1st, 2021. Ms. Cutler has been with the district for 22 years. Be resolved upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education accepts the retirement of Karen Richards, art teacher, effective July 1st, 2021. Ms. Richards has been with the district for 17 years. Be resolved upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education accepts the retirement of Jura Shell, third grade teacher, effective August 16, 2021. Ms. Shell has been with the district for 31 years. Be resolved upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education accepts the retirement of Laura McGinty, physics teacher, effective July 1st, 2021. Dr. McGinty has been with the district for 18 years. Be resolved upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education accepts the retirement of Joseph Palencia, Student Services Counselor, effective July 1st, 2021. Mr. Palencia has been with the district for 22 years. Be resolved upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education accepts the retirement of Mary Ann Lloyd, Teaching Assistant, effective July 2nd, 2021. Ms. Lloyd has been with the district for 23 years. Be resolved upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education accepts the retirement of Joanne Karshower, second grade teacher, effective July 1st, 2021. Mrs. Karshower has been in the district for 21 years. Be resolved upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education accepts the retirement of Robert Karshower, social studies teacher, effective July 1st, 2021. Mr. Karshower has been with the district for 45 years. Be it further resolved upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education approves the remainder of the consent agenda as presented. All in favor? Opposed? Congratulations to our retirees. Old business, action 1. Need a motion for second reading and adoption of policy number 5633, gender neutral single occupancy bathroom. Need a motion? Judy? Allison? Be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education approves the adoption of policy 5633, gender neutral single occupancy bathrooms. All in favor? Opposed? That concludes old business. We'll move to new business. 13.1, I need a motion to approve minutes for the February 17th board meeting. Tom? Martha? Be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education approves the minutes for this February 17th, 2021 regular board meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 13.2. This is the public action. We're taking action on here. Approve increase of income eligibility limits or partial real property tax exemption for owners with disabilities. Need a motion? Jeremy? Martha? Whereas the Board of Education has heretofore adopted the provisions of Section 459-C of the real property tax law regarding the granting of a partial exemption from taxation for school district purposes of real property situated in a school district and owned by a person or persons with disabilities whose income is limited by reason of such disability. And whereas the board desires to amend such previous resolution to increase the maximum income eligibility limits for such partial tax exemption. Now therefore, be it resolved that the board, after giving the public an opportunity to be heard, hereby establishes the maximum income eligibility limits for the partial real property tax exemption applicable to eligible individuals with disabilities regarding assessment rolls prepared on the basis of the taxable status dates occurring on or after January 1st, 2021 as follows. 0 to 29,000, 50% exemption. $29,001 to $29,999, 45% exemption. $30,000 to $30,999, 40%. $31,000 to $31,999, $999, 35%. $32,000 to $32,800. Should that be, no, $899, 30%. $32,900 to $33,799, 25%. $33,800 to $34,699, 20%. $34,700 to $35,599, 15%. $35,600 to $36,499, 10%. And $36,500 to $37,399, 5%. And be it further resolved that the board hereby provides that any individual otherwise qualified pursuant to the provisions of Section 459-C of the real property tax law shall be entitled to such real property tax exemption if he or she becomes disabled after the appropriate taxable status date and before December 31st of the same year. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? $13.3. Need a motion to approve some budgetary transfers. Tom and Judy. Be resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education approves the following budgetary transfers. Deficit in food service fund due to limited food sales this year. Dated 12/31/2000, $300,000. Order of desk shields required to reduce COVID-19 transmission, 2/26/21, $89,854. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Oops. 13.4, a motion to approve engagement letter from Cooper Arias LLP. I got Martha and Jeremy. Be resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education approves the Cooper Arias LLP engagement letter for 2020-21 risk assessment and monitoring services as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
I can cross that off.
Hey, Jay, I think people are having a hard time getting into the Zoom side of it.
There's people in there.
I'm getting text messages.
Right. So they're gonna listen on YouTube, and then I haven't let anybody.
Nobody's in yet. And they're in the waiting room.
Because there's not public report yet.
Okay, can you just,
Yeah, anybody who's looking to get into the comment privilege of the floor at the end of the meeting, you will be waiting in a waiting room until we let you in at the appropriate time, one by one. So hang in there with us. 13.5. I think that's where I am. 13.5, approve, I need a motion to approve supplemental memorandum of agreement with GTA. Tom? Allison? Be it resolved, the Board of Education authorizes the superintendent of schools to execute a supplemental memorandum of agreement between the district and the Goshen Teachers Association for a retirement incentive dated February 25th, 2021, and appropriates the monies therefore. Said supplemental memorandum of agreement shall be incorporated by reference within the minutes of this meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
We do have an addendum, 13.6. Any motion for appointment of an impartial hearing officer? Judy? And Mike. Be resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education appoints impartial hearing officer Martin Kehoe, Esquire, for file number 030121. Compensation will be made at the hourly rates currently approved by the State Education Department pursuant to 200.21 of the regulations of the commissioner. All in favor? Opposed? I think next on our agenda is budget workshop. Superintendent Carr,
Thank you, President Pucci. Are our principals, they're with us?
yes, there?
Hi, good morning, or good afternoon, folks. Thank you for joining us. We have our 4 building principals with us this evening who will start with, are we starting with Scotchtown? Is that who we're starting with, folks?
Yeah, I'll introduce and then we'll move through each building.
All right. I'm not sure if I can hear you or not, but, all right. So I will turn the program over to our 4 principals. And once again, thank you for joining us, and the floor is yours.
Sounds good. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to present our building budgets tonight. First up, we're just going to quickly share. We've got some photos here that have and some activities that have been going on throughout the year. And to review our mission, the mission of the Goshen Central School District is to create lifelong learners who demonstrate personal well-being and civic responsibility. Our mission is accomplished through the knowledgeable professionals who provide a quality education for our students and who themselves are lifelong learners. Our welcoming and supportive school environment provides a student-centered, standards-based curriculum that is relevant, challenging, and instills an appreciation for learning that will last a lifetime. And with that, I will just share briefly. On the left, you'll see the various categories that we're breaking the budget down into. And if you were to compare this to last year's overall budget, we are coming in across with a flat, no increase budget for the buildings. And I will turn it over to Mr. Friedman.
Hi, good evening and thank you. So I'll begin with a few pictures from Scotchtown just to highlight a few of the activities that we've been doing this year and continuing to do, keep up with the traditions at Scotchtown Avenue. The first photograph on your left comes from a 2nd grade classroom where a teacher has implemented an activity called Thinking Thursday. It's a collaborative activity with remote and in-person students. They're given a problem to solve, and the in-person students can work together, socially distant, but the remote students are also participating and seeing what's going on. So it still continues to have that full classroom atmosphere. I believe in this particular case, the students were challenged with building a house, some sort of house of cards or building, but they weren't limited to certain materials. So they could think out of the box and, bring different materials in. The next picture on your right, it's a continuation of, one of the great activities we always have at Scotchtown. It's, we celebrate the 100th day where, students come in dressed up as an older person and teachers center their lessons and activities, around 100. And it's a lot of fun, and it's, the students really enjoy it, and it's, great activity overall. Okay. So the next picture on your left is our President's Day celebration, and incorporates arts and crafts and writing and learning and collaboration. And the teachers and students have a lot of fun learning about our presidents. Now the picture on your right was taken on Wednesday in the back at Scotchtown. And what this teacher did was she invited the remote and the in-person students for a sledding activity for the students to participate in. And it was a great, activity for remote and in-person to get together and really come together as one class. And the students had a wonderful time, and the parents were there watching. So it was a great sight to see. It was really nice to see, just for lack of a better word, a normal scene here at Scotchtown Avenue. I wish I had a photograph of this, but I will just mention it. Our leave replacement music teacher, Mr. O'Neill, is currently doing an activity with the students. Now, the students can't sing in class, but what he's doing is he's playing a song, and he's teaching the students to use sign language. So even though the students aren't singing, they are signing as they go along with the music. So I wish I had a photograph, but he got it to me too late. So, but maybe I can share it with you at a later time. And the last screen, of course, is our budget cost for the upcoming school year. And as Mr. Wentworth mentioned, we are keeping our budget items flat. And we are just continuing to, be creative, look outside the box, use all available resources, for, meet the needs of all the students and teachers at Scotchtown. And with that, I'll say thank you very much, and I'll pass the torch on.
Dr. Wentworth?
Hold on, sorry about that, guys. I went through everything. It just, my cheat didn't work for me. I apologize. I'm not used to doing both at the same time. So up for Goshen Intermediate School, obviously there's a lot of great things going on at the building. I got to give it to the staff for how much they've adapted this year and jumped in. And, we could sit here probably all night with all the great things that they are doing. But the wonderful piece here is for Valentine's Day, obviously we wanted to kind of be a little safer. And over here on the left, we've got two examples of that where Mrs. Sester's class actually partnered with a school in the country of Colombia, and they exchanged Valentines with each other throughout the day, presenting cultures from both. One of the great things about sitting in and watching was when they shared pictures of snow from our area. The kids from Colombia were just absolutely fascinated by that. And then the kids from Colombia were sharing some of their traditional foods and some of their culture with our students. So it was really quite an enjoyable experience to be a part of. Additionally, on the bottom there, we have two students from, I believe, Mrs. Holland's class, and they were actually a lot of students throughout the building created Valentines to send to local nursing homes, which was just a really nice thing to kind of bring our community together, but allow our students to give back a little bit. On the right-hand side here is our new logo for the Goshen Intermediate School. It's one of the pieces that we actually got a lot of support from Christina Gore on through the Capital Region BOCES. So I just wanted to share this. We were able to combine the GIS All-Star Positive Behavior Incentive Program. And we also brought in the Goshen Gladiator to tie it all together, and our new motto, which is greatness in every student, which really with the staff, we work hard to try to find what is great about every single student that's in our building. On the left here, I want to give kudos. Again, I know this was up on our website, but Naomi from 5th grade last year, who's now at CJ Hooker Middle School, she won the ADAC Grand Prize poster contest for Orange County. It was quite an achievement, and unfortunately, due to COVID, she wasn't able to get the full celebration that she normally would. So we really wanted to take the opportunity to celebrate her yet again. They came and did a presentation. Also a shout out to Mr. Hoover, because as I've been told by ADAC, Mr. Hoover probably has the greatest participation in the county and is consistently at that level. So that's just, it's a great program, and ADAC has done a lot for us coming into our buildings and providing programs for students as well. And then on the left, again, another chance to get kids outside. We have been very much about getting them outside, as studies have shown the social emotional benefits of being outside, getting that vitamin D for even 10 minutes in the day. But moreover, if you look at their feet, they've got snowshoes on, and those are items that were purchased years ago prior to my arrival in the building, and they've been sitting in a closet, and we finally had an opportunity to pull them out and get the kids out using them. So we really wanted to kind of show that off a little bit for you. The proposed costs, again, are flat. You may notice throughout the presentation, there's a few asterisks in here. I'm just going to point out that those were not changes in anything other than last year we had clerical errors where we did not include things such as the Odyssey the Mind budget, which actually does fall under contractual in this case for GIS. So just pointing that out, but we are coming in flat and being creative with our budget. And I'll pass it over to Ms. Carmen.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for having me. So the first two pictures on our slide, the first picture to your left is Margaret Storms's FACS class, and they are making pancakes. So we wanted to just show that we're still trying to maintain as much normalcy as possible in our classes. So not only are the kids that are on in the classrooms making the pancakes, but as you can see, the tripod is set up, and she went through everything so that the children remotely at home could also work on making the pancakes at home. And usually she sends about a week ahead of time to the parents all of the information that they need for when they're going to do a lab, so that everyone is on board and can do it together. And then on the picture on the right is just kind of giving a little plug for our Leo Club. We've been trying, like I said, to keep everything as normal as possible. And what we decided this year was we wanted to give back to the community as much as possible, since the community constantly gives to us. So we've been very creative, and we raised $520 for the local food pantry. There was a little bit more. There was some food that we also were able to send down. And we're doing other things for the remainder of the year. There will be 4 other ones that will be sent out. One is to the food pantry, one is to the Goshen Humane Society, and the 2 others I can't spoil because student government would be very upset with me. And then over here on your next pictures, speaking of, there's our beautiful student government right there. We wanted to make sure that everyone got to see our president, vice president, treasurer, and secretary. They're doing a wonderful job. I met with them the other day, and we're still talking about different fundraising and things that we can do also to give back to the community for the remainder of the school year, into talking about next year as well. And the final picture that you see on the right is just a picture actually of myself and Miss Banuels, our librarian, who's done a wonderful job. That's our diversity corner, just one section in the library where we were able to get probably about 150 different books. You can't see them all because there's a couple stacked underneath each other, but they're all types of diversity books from all different backgrounds. And the kids have been taking them out and enjoying them as much as the remainder of the building because they can take them out and read them as well. And just like my colleague said, we at CJ Hooker have come in flat also. I can't see the bottom portion because there's people still in the waiting room that's showing on mine, but we should be coming in flat. And if that last piece looks different, there was one change for us for the Odyssey of the Mind. And that was just about a $250 change because we wanted to add in a couple more programs virtually for them. So they were able to do a little bit more. And that's all I have for our program. Thank you.
Good evening. So I can wrap up and give you the last section of the presentation about Goshen High School. So you can see that we have our safety in place and we do have students making the best of even being socially distanced with our teachers. And what I love about these classes, we have Mr. Miedema and Ms. Jarrett in there together. We have Mr. Palanis and Ms. Ruffin in there providing support to our ENL learners as well. This is just demonstrating the efforts that we have worked with the ENL program and programming with our school counseling department to make sure that our students are transitioning with a high level of rigor and moving through the program for success. So of course, we were extremely ecstatic to have our students able to get back out on the courts, the fields, the pools. And while they can't yet have spectators, we had to highlight some of their accomplishments. It's been palpable, the enthusiasm shift that has come with having our clubs come back on campus, with having the musical getting off the ground, with having our sports and kids practicing after school. So those are certainly things that we want to maintain and support our students' full well-being. So we've also come in with what is essentially a flat budget. If you look at the total, the difference between the $318,000 and $306,000 is because of the divisible number that BOCE's tuition payments are per student. So we couldn't very well take part of a student. So we had to reduce the number slightly because we're now currently at 82 students going to BOCE's and holding those spots. So on behalf of the building principals, I wanted to thank you for your continued support and also go through, did you want me to go through the last one, Matt? Okay, so we have this piece here just to demonstrate the funding for BOCE's had remained the same. It was just slightly different within the C-Tech program, and that was what the prior difference was. So again, thank you for listening, for your continued support, and for thinking of ways to meet all of the needs of our students.
President Pucci and members of the Board of Education, I'd just like to thank our building principals for a great job. And I know a lot of work put in on your part, especially Louise Lynch, who I know has been working closely with all of you and along with Jay Carter as well. President Pucci?
Any questions? I think we are good. So thank you so much for your presentations tonight and have a good night.
Thank you, guys.
Might flip-flop the next parts of the agenda. You want to do privilege of the floor and then board member issues? That makes sense.
Let's wait.
Privilege of the floor will be next. It's going to be our first attempt at privilege of the floor through a Zoom to accommodate. I think we're suggestion limit to 2 minutes. please identify yourself. Any questions or comments will be addressed. I think we were talking about, and I think we will follow through on creating a new Q&A page on our website on any board comments or questions.
2 to 3 days.
Next, we'll get to those hopefully within 2 or 3 days from tonight. And we're also exploring and maybe experimenting with different types of formats to communicate with the community. So I'm going to admit my first community member here. Attempt. Good evening. Can you please identify yourself? This is Jason Pucci, Board of Education. I have a letter C. Are you here, please?
People back in the waiting room and call back later.
Oh, did I know?
If they were trying to connect, like maybe they just want to listen or they weren't there at the time they got called.
Okay.
So what do I do? How do I put her? You want to put? Can you put her back in? Or to him? I didn't say her.
I can do it. Call the next person.
Yeah. Good evening. This is Jason Pucci. You're on the Board of Education. Your comment? Awesome. Go to the next one. Good evening, Lillian Perone.
Hi,
Oh, hello.
can you hear me?
Yes, welcome.
Hi, welcome. How you doing? My name is Matt Perone. My wife here is Danielle.
Hello.
We have 2 kids that attend SAS. We have a third little one, We're just calling about the postponement for the Reading Across America with the Dr. Seuss. I didn't know, it was an issue being brought up that, yeah.
Hello.
Hello,
Yes, welcome. Yeah, turn your volume off on your computer.
on me?
Yeah. On your end.
And is it better now?
You're good.
Okay. So we're just concerned because I know that this year has been tough on all the kids, and our kids are lucky that, they don't have any issues with, learning or anything. So they're doing pretty good keeping up, but, they were excited about an upcoming week of reading, learning more than just.
My second grader was very excited about this
Yeah.
week. So we were just, I guess our question is, why was it postponed? We didn't really get much information in the email this weekend.
Yeah, so tonight is just to have your first time calling into a meeting or into Board of Ed. Privilege of floor is comments, and you can ask a question. Then I pass it along to administration, and they'll get it back an answer to you.
Okay.
So I guess we just wanted to say, being the kids are so young, a good foundation, to be a functioning adult, reading, writing, math, science. And, this week was going to be good for them. It's a different aspect of reading, rather just sit in front of the computer, going to school just twice a week,
They've
seeing
definitely
their
fallen
friends.
behind this year. I have a lot of concerns about how things have been done. I mean, I understand that it's been a tough year and everybody's doing their best, but our kids definitely are suffering.
Yeah, being so small, you don't really can differ between genders or races or whatever people are bringing up with these topics are. It's more just, foundation and just ways of them to learn and just to build upon that when they get older, then they can grow and all types of different aspects of life, but I just feel like they just got, the bad end of the stick this year, and it just keeps getting worse,
We understand, and I do thank you for your input and comments tonight. Really do appreciate you taking your time to contribute. And like I said, we will address your comments and questions here in soon order.
Okay.
Thank you, and have a good night.
Okay, you too. Bye.
Good evening. You're with the Board of Education? Still coming in?
No, I'll put the person that waiting.
Okay.
Come back if we need it. Go to the next person.
Oh, wait.
Efforts that we have worked.
Good evening. You're on with Board of Education?
With our school.
I have Mahomes. You're on? Okay, going next. Good evening, Jennifer. You're on the Board of Education. Okay. I put her back or?
Sure.
Okay, we'll go for Brian Shea. Good evening, Brian Shade. You're with the Board of Education. Hello? I wonder if people just want to listen, yeah?
1 for 6.
Yep. You want to put him back in or? Good evening, Joan. Are you with us?
Hello?
Yes, Joan, this is Board of Education.
Hi, yes. I am, I have trepidation about the idea of, can you hear me?
Yeah, just turn off your volume on your end, on your computer.
Yep, sure. Hold on.
And you're good to go.
Hello? Hello?
Yes, Joan, Board of Education.
Yeah. Hi, yes. Wait, I got lost. Hello?
Yeah, you just need to turn off your volume on your computer. On maybe YouTube or pause it or.
Yeah, I just did. Okay.
Okay, yeah, you're good.
So, okay, I was hearing my own repeat.
Yeah.
That's why I was confused. Okay, so I have trepidation about the idea of having back to 5 days or full classrooms. My concern, one, is how you're going to properly space the students. The classrooms aren't large enough. I know some of the other school districts have done that, but they've also expanded into other buildings or sent high schoolers to all virtual. I'm curious how we're supposed to send our kids into a classroom and still maintain the safe distances. Also, what would you do for busing? Because we're now spaced on the buses, but now you're adding more students to the building. Are you going to have cross populations of GIS students and SAS students and cross populations of CJ Hooker students with the high school students? It just sounds like a recipe for skyrocketing numbers. I know our numbers aren't currently where the CDC says they should be for us to be opening up to larger classrooms. So I'm just curious. I'm stating that I have concerns about how is this going to be rolled out safely? And I will state that I'm not a proponent for it.
Yeah, we understand. We'll be addressing some of your concerns here in the next few days with an updated Q&A on our webpage. We understand your concerns. Some of the issues you bring up will be addressed, and some are things that still need to be worked out, like busing and transportation. I kind of addressed that in my own comments tonight earlier. I don't know if you heard them or not. So we'll be working together with everybody to figure out these answers. And ultimately, I think what we're trying to provide is free choice. You know, if you're not comfortable when the time comes and you're not ready for your child, we totally understand that. You know, so the remote option will remain throughout the school year.
And also just, you know, what kind of, the faculty and staff now have a certain security in knowing that there's not a full classroom. Now that's, you know, there's still vaccinations are hard to get. So, you know, I also have concern for that.
Great, thank you. Well, we do appreciate your input and your comments tonight, and appreciate you contributing and taking your time out. And like I said, you'll see some updated information on our new portion of our webpage. Have a good night. You'll take them off, Jeremy? Oh, Jeremy. Jeremy's next here. Jeremy's iPad. Hey, you coming in? Was that you? Really? Oh. I thought you were kidding. Are you back in? Okay. Okay, I got Stephanie. Good evening, Stephanie. Jason, Board of Education.
All right, we got it. So we're next.
You're on. Stephanie Hernandez, if you can hear me, you are with the Board of Education. There you come. Hello.
Hello?
Yes, you're with us.
Hi, yes. I sent my comments in writing before the meeting, but I wanted to understand a little bit if there's been a survey, if you've spoken to your staff on the number of staff members and teachers that would be actively looking for vaccinations, as I think that's critical for the reopening or safe reopening of the schools.
Yeah, keep on going, because what we do, are you David?
Yes.
Yeah. David, just ask you your questions and comments, and then this is more of a privilege of the floor. And then what we do is we'll get the information out on our website in the next 2 to 3 days with all your questions and comments and concerns.
Okay, that was my main concern. And secondly, another comment was related to the partitionings that you're purchasing and how that may cause some difficulty for students to be able to hear the teacher and for the teacher to be able to communicate appropriately with the students? And is there any mitigation or additional speakers being put in the classroom, or what's going to be done there?
It's a good thought.
And that was my 2 questions.
Well, I appreciate your comments tonight and your input, and it's the reason we like to hear from the community, because you have some good ideas and thoughts. And again, appreciate your contributing tonight, and we'll address these comments.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Yep. Good evening. You're with the Board of Education. Hello, I have Mata Conklin West.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Hi, okay. Sorry, that is a name put up there. I just wanted to put out there, you know, I know we're doing a lot for our seniors, trying to get them graduation and prom and as many normal things as possible. Just wondering if we're working on the same kind of things for our 8th graders also, to recognize them and they're moving up, and maybe some kind of in-person type celebration activity outdoors. I don't know, you know, different types of options once the weather turns. So I just want to put that out there on the floor. And also just thank you for your efforts to get the kids back to school. I think it's really important.
Great, thank you. It's a good comment. We will look into that for you and get that information posted. Appreciate your input and comments. You're taking your time out tonight to contribute. It's very important for us to hear. And yeah, keep your eye out, and we'll get you an update.
Thank you very much.
Have a good night.
The last 3 that are there, we tried already going to hit the ball and see if anybody's there.
I'm gonna try one more. I'll try them one at a time real quick. If not, we're. Good evening. Are you with us tonight? Okay, we can move on to the next one.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, you're back. You're there. Hello, you're with us.
Hi. I have a couple questions. My first question
Your
is
first name?
regarding.
First, your name, please.
My name is Melissa,
Okay.
and my first concern is regarding Dr. Seuss. Can you please? I am. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, just turn off your volume on your side or your YouTube or something. You're probably getting feedback or a delay.
I do not know. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. You can continue.
I'm hearing echoes, and yeah, this is not working out. Hello?
Yes, hello.
If I turn my volume off, I can't hear you.
Now just turn off. If you can turn off your YouTube, that'd be fine. I think we're good right now. I can hear.
Hold on one second. Hang on one second.
Don't worry, we're all working on this together.
Yeah, I can see this. Hold on. I got it. All right.
Just before just before you start, privilege of the floor is really gives you like 2 minutes to make comments and questions, and then we just keep on going. And what we're going to plan on doing, and with privilege of the floor, is to address your comments and questions on our new Q&A page on our website.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
All right, perfect. I shut the YouTube off. All right, I have a couple of questions. I know we have 2 minutes. Dr. Seuss, can you explain to me why that has been postponed?
Yeah, this continue with your questions or comments because
All right.
yeah,
So that is my first call. Another call is I'm seeing and I'm hearing that a lot of parents are calling the school, and Mr. Connor does not address phone calls unless the parent identifies who they are. And the times that we're in right now, I think the school board needs to understand that some parents may not be brave enough to come forward to give names, and to ignore a parent's concern from a school board, I think is pretty poor. I think all parents' concerns should be addressed. That's number 2. Number 3, your Scholastic art project. It was posted on your Facebook page and quickly removed because parents wanted it taken down. And let's see. I see many teachers also posting on Facebook political things. I think politics really needs to be kept out of the classroom right now, especially because it's jaded and it's one-sided. Seeing some of this stuff and hearing the kids being pressured and stressed over politics in our nation today, it just should be kept out of the classroom. And I can name specific teachers, but I won't do that right now. But these things need to be addressed. I am utterly concerned by the way the school board is treating it, ignoring the request, number 1. Number 2, Dr. Seuss being postponed and the reasons for it being postponed. And yes, the Scholastic art contest, I'm nervous, so bear with me, but I think you get my gist. CNN should not be shown in the classroom. It's politics. Teach the facts, not opinions. There are many of us that are upset with the school board, and I think these things need to be addressed. The kids have been through enough, the parents have been through enough, and I really think that all of this stuff needs to be addressed.
but we do appreciate your input and your comments, and we'll definitely look into these for you.
You don't have to look into them. You can discuss them, some of them right now, because like I said, many parents are being ignored. So I'd like an answer of some sort.
Thank you. Approve the floor is for comments and questions, and we'll get back to you on that.
I had a comment and so here we go again. So now every parent sees how you're ignoring my questions and my concerns. I'm a concerned parent with a child in your school. I don't like my kid coming home crying and upset over things being pushed down his or her throat. You need to discuss this. You need to discuss this.
Thank you for your comments. We do appreciate it.
Okay, now we understand. Now we all understand. We gotcha. Yep. You can't address it. You can't address it. You can't address it. You are dividing.
Okay. Oh, hello? You're with us? Can you hear me? Yeah. Hello, you're on your iPhone. You're with us? Okay. Hello, you're with us? Good evening.
Hi, good evening. Do you hear me clearly?
I can hear you clearly.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Lumazzi. Thank you for giving me this chance to talk in front of the board and the Goshen community. I'm a mother with 8 children. I have 6 students enrolled in all 4 of our schools. We're in a time where everything seems to be dissected, and we look deep into it and cancel it. I have a senior who's 18 years old, a 10th grader who's about to turn 16. And I have a 13-year-old in 8th grade, a 11-year-old in 6th grade, a 8-year-old in 3rd grade, and a kindergartner who's 6 years old. If you start dissecting everything and take away something that's been in our community for years, since my 18-year-old was in kindergarten, Dr. Seuss, if you take away what the children look forward to, especially in this day and age, you're taking away the little bit of hope and happiness that they have. Packets were sent out last week for remote students to pick up, and inside of it was Dr. Seuss. you can imagine the kids were looking forward to it. It's a long-standing tradition that the kids participate, and now it's up for postponement. And I feel that these kids need to hold on to what we had as traditions and basically go back to the aspect of it. It's being introduced to encourage reading with the enlightenment of the characters. And we have to take a broader stand on not just dissecting every little thing and canceling it all out. Once you cancel it, you can't bring it back. And like I said, I have 6 kids in the district, 1 being a senior. This has been in the school since my son has been in kindergarten. I mean, Green Eggs and Hams taught him how to read. So if you take that away, you're taking it away from the next generation and the love of books. And Dr. Seuss does bring the kids to the books and the love of reading. My second concern is with the regents and the state testing now, our kids not being back in school 5 days a week. How are we going to go about addressing getting these kids prepared for regents in such a short amount of time, as it's up in the air now, and now we're being given confirmation that it's back on the table, and they're not even in school Wednesdays. These kids are not prepared. If they fail the regents, they're super seniors, and it's a big concern for parents who want their kids to graduate. And if we can petition it, I'm down for it. Like I'm a mother, like I said, I'm a mother of 6 in all 4 school districts, and I just wanted to voice my concerns that if we start canceling one thing, everything will start being canceled until the 100th day of school will offend somebody.
Thank you so much for your input.
All right, I appreciate you at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Have a great night.
And our last one. All right, Brian Shade, are you with us? I don't think so, Jonathan. Okay. Well, that wraps up privilege of the floor. Sure. We want to go to board member issues? Board member issues. Okay. Go ahead.
A lot of the questions that they came up with tonight are going to be addressed in some of your emails and go out in the next. Are any of the people going to be called back? Because there are fires that can be put out if you were to talk to them. I don't know.
No,
Yeah, I think we can follow up. I don't know if we got everybody's name and number. It's the only problem, but
if we get the names.
yeah.
Sure. We do.
Board member issues? Everybody's good?
Don't hesitate.
Motion to close the meeting. Tom? Allison? All in favor? Opposed? Have a good night.